Today we went on another field trip. We have taken you to Carson City, Nevada, which is about 25 minutes from South Reno to get here. And I know we've been talking a lot about other areas in northern Nevada besides just Reno. So if Reno might be a little too big, a little too expensive, you can make that 25-minute drive. It's all on the highway down to Carson City. And today we're standing here on one of the golf holes at Silver Oak Golf Course. It's one of the many golf courses in Carson City. But we're gonna take you around town today, give you an idea. And we're also gonna show you 3 homes, 2 that we recently sold, and 1 we're getting ready to list. The one we're listing is in the 500s, but we're gonna show you a neighborhood that we just sold a house in the 600s, and a third house we just sold a home in the 700s. So let's go take a look around, and we're gonna show you all things Carson City. So we just came in from Reno, so we're hitting the north end of Carson City. When you're on the highway, which is just to our left or behind where we're viewing, you will see the Carson Tahoe Regional Medical Center. It has not been here that long, but it's one of the biggest employers in town. You can see just by the number of cars and the size of the building. There's all kinds of good medical stuff here on the north end of Carson City, which has been a major improvement from where they were before. And if you're not familiar with Carson City, it is about 30 minutes south of Reno. It is our state capital, and it is a small town. It's about 60-ish thousand people, but you're really close to Minden-Gardnerville, to Lake Tahoe, to Reno. So there's just a lot of good things about the location of Carson City, and it has grown a lot. You can see we're right at the base of the mountains. There's that golf course where we started off the video just there to the left, which is one of the nicer golf courses in town. And by that golf course, there's some new home construction, which was something you didn't see a lot in Carson City. So there are some new home options on both the north and south ends of town now. And so we're going to take you through a few of the more established older neighborhoods, which is why a lot of people moved to Carson City in the first place. Average or median home price in Carson City is in the high 400s. And again, we're going to show you some homes later today that are just right above or near those price points so you can get an idea. But honestly, one of the best parts about Carson City anymore is that it's just so centrally located to all things northern Nevada. So we are in a section of what I would call northwest Carson City. We're by Carriage Square Park. We were just driving through one of the neighborhoods, and we wanted to show you what more of the established neighborhoods are. This is homes that are built kind of in the 80s. So we did a video not that long ago about a house we sold on Kalash that we sold for $770,000 in this particular neighborhood, where they had done a bunch of remodeling. So you'll see homes in here anywhere in the 5, 6, 7s. You don't typically see too much going over and above that, but this just gives you an idea of one of these more established neighborhoods where the homes are in the 40 plus years old. You're right across from the park, decent lot sizes where you're pushing almost quarter acre. And again, it's just in a really good section. You're near schools. It's Fritch Elementary School, and then most of the kids in this town go to either Carson Middle School, and then there's Carson High School, which everyone goes to Carson High School. I think there's one other middle school on the other end of Carson City, but this just gives you a good idea of mature trees, mature landscaping, and it just gives you a feel for how quiet and calm things can be in a neighborhood that's like in Carson City. So we're just gonna drive up and down the street a little bit, give you an idea of what you can expect to see for, again, what are some pretty decent affordable prices in the 5, 6, and 7s, just depending on the size of the house, potentially what the condition of the house is. You know, some of these obviously at the ages they are, some would be original, some would be remodeled. And so we just want to kind of give you an idea of what you could expect that to look like as we'll work our way back towards the main drag. So now this is the neighborhood. We're real close to the house that we sold not long ago. And actually here it is on the corner, this dark house with the sort of yellow door. That house sold for $640,000. They've done a lot of remodeling to it. There's still things you could do to it. And what's nice about it is you're on a corner. You're sort of on a dead-end street as we pull up this way. And if I pull up to the top, you're going to be able to actually see into the back and backyard of this particular house. And again, no neighbors behind it. Here's a trail right off the back of the house. There's no motor vehicles, but if you pull this way, you can get a really good view back towards the house. And again, Carson, just like Reno, sits in a little bit of a bowl. The main areas are in a little bit of a lower point, and everything else is relatively flat once you kind of get into town. So if you're someone who's thinking about moving to northern Nevada, do me a favor. Click the link in the description below. You get a copy of our free buyer's guide. It'll get you a lot of great information on all things you need to know about moving to northern Nevada. All right, so unless you work like in education or the government or healthcare, that's why a lot of people from Carson move to Reno. There's not tons of job opportunities. You're definitely gonna need a car to get around Carson City because there's not a ton going on. Very similar weather to Reno and northern Nevada. And just know, like I said, there are some people that it's perfect for. So if you're a retiree or a remote worker that can work from anywhere, it's a great place for you guys to be. And if you like the outdoors, again, great access to a lot of places here from Carson City. So we're driving down the main drag here. We're about halfway, maybe a mile and a half from where we started. We're coming down right through here. This is where they'll have the big parade on Nevada Day, coming right through town here on Halloween. Nevada Day, it happens to be on Halloween. And this is where they've done a lot of, re-emerging of businesses. Things have changed, things have gone different. They've got the old Nugget Casino down here on our left. You got the Nevada State Museum on the right. Actually, our other RE/MAX office, our Carson RE/MAX office, is literally in the building here, right here on the right-hand side. And so as you come through here, this is kind of the original, like I said, you used to have to go all the way through here to go to Carson's, or to go to Gardnerville. And so this is kind of where all the action takes place. Now, this is kind of the downsides of Carson. It does not have the nightlife you have in Reno. It does not have the restaurants and the food and the things that you're starting to see in Reno and some of the bigger cities in northern Nevada. But again, if you're looking for a little smaller, a little quieter, a little more affordable, a little slower pace, and then more convenient to getting, say, to Lake Tahoe and South Lake Tahoe and things along those lines, it's perfect. As we come down a little further here on the left, you're going to see our state capitol building. So right now, the legislature is actually in session at the time we're recording this video. So 6 months every other year, because our legislature runs every 2 years, or 6 months every other year, you'll see this town gets really busy with lots of political people and other stuff going on versus other times of year. But here on the left-hand side, Sid will get you a little video of it, but this is the governor's mansion is a couple blocks to the right. And this just becomes, kind of said, a very busy area as all the legislative stuff is going on through this main drag of Carson City. We're now in sort of a much further south and eastern part of Carson City, but we wanted to show you a house here. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, just under 1,800 square feet, a little newer than what we saw on the other end of town, but it does have a 2-car garage. It does have RV access. You're on a nice corner lot. There's a lot of good things over here, and this is going to be a house that's going to sell somewhere between $500 and $550. We're working on figuring out the pricing now. So let's go inside, we'll take a look, and we'll show you what you can expect to see, something more in the 500s. Now, this house is going to need what I always like to call the cosmetic fixture-upper kind of stuff. It does need some flooring, probably needs some more modern light fixtures and things on those lines, but lots of room and lots of space. So you guys can take a look and see what you think as far as floor plan and stuff like that. It's got a lot of room to do some good things with, especially for something now that's just north of an average price here in Carson City. So like I said, it's probably going to sell somewhere between $500 and $550. Okay, so when you're on this end of town, it is a different, I knew it was a different middle school. It's called Eagle Valley. It is also for Al Seeliger Elementary School. And again, everyone on this end of town, or anyone in all of Carson City, goes to Carson City High School. They're the only high school that is here. But on this end, again, you are much further south. You're much closer towards Minden, Gardnerville. You're much easier access getting up to Lake Tahoe from here, so you can quickly get to the highway. There's a Costco on this end of town. There's another casino on this end of town. And so again, it's a much more slower paced, quiet neighborhood. All of Carson City is that way versus other parts of town. But again, this house, 2-car garage, separate laundry room, walk-in closet, and it is 3 bedrooms. So somebody would definitely have to come in here though and do some modernization and some updates, because there's definitely a lot of the original features. The original year built, let me check out what that was. 1997. So you're looking at a house that's about 30 years old. So when they get to this level, again, it's usually time for a little sprucing up. If one of these was in mint condition, it'd probably definitely be over $550,000, but nothing fancy, kind of just your traditional neighborhood house in a good section in a good area of Carson City. And so we wanted to give you a chance to see what something you could expect to see on the inside. The other 2 homes we showed you earlier in our video were a little bit nicer, a little more updated, and of course, one sold in the $640 and the other sold for $770. So we're giving you an idea of that middle price points in all things Carson City. And of course, as always, I like to bring on Sydney, since she shows most of the houses The 3 that we're showing you, the one that we're standing in, and the 2 others were all recent listings that we sold already this year. And we kind of feel like for people that have been looking in different parts of northern Nevada, our typical wheelhouse for people, especially if they're first-time home buyers or relocating, is kind of between that 400 and 800 range.
Definitely.
And Carson is an amazing area for that. So we got some notes, some previous listings, and some information, and really through the first quarter of the year, tell them, I mean, there's lots of opportunity. Tell them kind of what you think that they might be able to see out here.
Absolutely. So over the first quarter of the year, we pulled all listings that came on down in Carson City, and there were over 130 of them within the 400 to 700 price point. So there are a lot of options down in Carson specifically, and I feel like there's a good majority of properties that are kind of under that 600,000. The good chunk of the listings that have come on are under that $600,000 price point. So if you're looking at that kind of lower half of everything, Carson City has a ton of great options.
So we were just talking about this on the drive down here, where our office is in South Reno, we live in South Reno, and my son, her brother lives in Sparks. And so we get a lot of people having that conversation that since life is sort of happening more in that south end of Reno, would you rather be in Sparks to get back to South Reno, or would you rather be in Carson to get back to South Reno? And I guess a lot of it depends on how far south you go in Carson, or how far out northeast you get in Sparks. And what would you say about the drives, or really, I don't feel like the older parts of Sparks and Carson are that different house-wise, but livability-wise, it's a lot different.
Yeah, definitely. I think my brother lives on the kind of closer, further south section of Sparks, so commuting to the southern end of Reno really isn't too bad, but sometimes there are 3 main roads that go to the northern end of Sparks into Spanish Springs, which are Pyramid Highway, Vista Boulevard, and Sparks Boulevard. All 3 of those streets during rush hour times, depending on when you're going north and south, can be a big hindrance in terms of traffic and drive time. Whereas Carson City, when you're coming down here, even if you have to go all the way to the furthest south end of Carson, you're on the freeway for the entirety of it, and it really doesn't get backed up coming down here or going back to Reno during busy times.
Well, and it's funny, we come to Carson quite a bit, me and my son, we play golf. There's a lot of like more entry-level starter golf courses, good price points to be able to play golf. He just started playing real seriously like a year ago. And so like you said, there are definitely some pros and cons to both, but what people have to understand is this. The job opportunities aren't as great in Carson as they would be in Sparks and Reno. So for a lot of people, being able to live here and drive back to Reno, great. You got good access to Tahoe. You're not far from being able to get there from a few different locations. And so we just want people to think about it. Between Carson, again, we have not done videos yet in Dayton and Fernley, but a lot of similar type housing, even a little less expensive in those areas. So we're just trying to bring you more of what that whole northern Nevada picture looks like so that you can see what might work for you. And this is some good opportunities. Now, on a whole nother note, there is one section that technically is a Carson City address that I wouldn't necessarily say is Carson City, and that is called Clear Creek. So if you go a little further south and you go up the highway like you're going towards Lake Tahoe, there's a subdivision off to the left. Tell them what the price points in Clear Creek are.
The price points are high. They run anywhere between 5 and 25 million. You can find some under 5, but it's a little more rare.
So we looked it up. There was only, at the time of this, in the MLS, there were 9 listings. The lowest one was 5.2 million. The most expensive one was 12.7 million. And it's an awesome area, which I don't think people think of as Carson City. I think what we showed you today is more of the Carson City thing. So good things for people to know. Any questions, concerns, things you want to know about with Carson City, by all means, reach out to us. And again, we want to help you and anyone you know in all things Northern Nevada. So we want to give you a quick tour of Carson City. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you on another video. If you're enjoying the content we're putting out there each and every week, do me a favor. Check out this video we did right here and keep on watching all the great information we're putting out there.